Gifts are meant to bring joy, connection, and good fortune. But have you ever received something that, instead of bringing happiness, seemed to usher in a wave of misfortune? Perhaps financial struggles followed, unexpected conflicts arose, or your energy felt drained for no clear reason. While most gifts are given with good intentions, some items may carry hidden energies, both cultural and spiritual, that can subtly influence your life in ways you might not expect. Throughout history, various cultures and spiritual traditions have recognized that objects hold energy. The way they are given, received, and used can shape their effect on our lives. In this discussion, we'll explore 15 seemingly harmless gifts that could bring misfortune and hardship into your life. But don't worry, we'll also provide mindful and spiritual ways to neutralize any negative energies they might carry. Some of these items may surprise you, and the final one on our list is something many people receive without ever considering its hidden significance. Stay with us, and let's uncover the deeper meaning behind these objects together. 1. An empty wallet or handbag. An empty wallet or handbag symbolizes financial emptiness and lack of abundance. When you receive one without any money inside, it represents the potential for financial struggles. This belief isn't just a superstition. It stems from the psychological and energetic association between what we receive and what manifests in our lives. In Buddhist philosophy, abundance is not merely about material wealth, but about the flow of energy and generosity. The Buddha once said, "The mind that gives is the mind that receives." This wisdom teaches us that generosity opens the doors to prosperity, while holding on to scarcity thinking invites lack. When a wallet or handbag is gifted empty, it symbolizes a vacuum in financial energy, which can subtly manifest in the recipient's life. There is an old story in Zen Buddhism about a wealthy man who always kept a coin in his wallet, not for himself, but to give to the first person in need he met each day. He believed that by keeping money in circulation, he ensured that wealth would always return to him. This aligns with the idea that even placing a small amount, a coin or a single bill, into a newly received wallet can shift its energy from emptiness to abundance. It's not about superstition, but about cultivating a mindset of abundance and flow. To counteract this, always place a small amount of money inside a gifted wallet or handbag before using it. Even a single coin or small bill can transform it into a vessel of prosperity rather than one of lack. More importantly, use that wallet as a tool for mindful financial practices, treating money with respect, practicing generosity, and expressing gratitude for every dollar earned and spent. 2. An old mirror. Mirrors are believed to hold and reflect the energy of their surroundings. An old or secondhand mirror may carry the imprints of previous owners' emotions, struggles, or hardships. If the mirror has been in a place where arguments, sadness, or negative events occurred, those energies may linger. In many spiritual traditions, mirrors are seen as portals that can either magnify positivity or reflect negativity. Ancient Chinese feng shui philosophy suggests that mirrors have the ability to double the energy of a space. If placed correctly, they can enhance prosperity, but if they have absorbed negative energy, they can amplify difficulties. There is an old Buddhist parable about a man who visited a monastery seeking peace. He was troubled by the negativity in his life and asked the Zen master how he could clear his mind. The master handed him a mirror and said, "Look into this and tell me what you see." The man responded, "I see myself." The master then took the mirror, wiped it clean, and said, "Now look again. Do you see the same reflection?" The man nodded. The master smiled and said, "Your mind is like this mirror. If it holds on to the dust of the past, it will only reflect negativity. But if you clean it, it will reflect the light of wisdom." This lesson applies to physical mirrors as well. If a mirror has accumulated emotional residue from past owners or past events, it is essential to cleanse it before placing it in your home. By doing these simple cleansing rituals, you ensure that the mirror reflects light, clarity, and harmony rather than negativity. Instead of being a vessel of past sorrows, it can become a source of illumination in your space, helping you to cultivate. 3. Sharp objects gifting. Sharp objects like knives, scissors, or razors is considered unlucky in many cultures. These items symbolize severed ties and broken relationships, potentially leading to misunderstandings or conflicts. In Buddhist teachings, the principle of ahimsa, or non-harm, is a core value. Sharp objects, by their very nature, are associated with cutting and division, both physically and metaphorically. Ancient wisdom suggests that relationships should be nurtured like a well-tended garden, not severed with sharp words or actions. Giving someone a knife or scissors as a gift may unintentionally symbolize cutting ties, leading to distance or discord between the giver and receiver. A story is often told about a young monk who was given a ceremonial dagger by a well-meaning benefactor. When he presented it to his master, the elder monk asked, "Did they also give you the means to mend what is cut?" The young monk was puzzled. His master continued, "If you give someone a blade, also offer a thread to sew together what might be divided." This story illustrates the importance of balance and reconciliation in our relationships. To neutralize the potential negative energy of receiving a sharp object, there is a widely practiced tradition: give the giver a small coin in return. This turns the exchange into a symbolic transaction rather than a gift, ensuring that the act does not carry an unintended omen of separation. Another way to counteract the energy is through mindfulness and intention. If you receive a knife or scissors, use it with care and gratitude, being conscious of its purpose, whether for preparing nourishing meals or crafting something meaningful, rather than associating it with division. Ultimately, what we give and receive holds energy, shaped by our intentions and actions. As the Buddha taught, the intention behind an action is what shapes its outcome. By infusing our exchanges with thoughtfulness, we transform even potentially negative symbols into acts of connection and goodwill. 4. Broken or damaged items. Receiving a gift that is already broken or damaged can symbolize misfortune, stagnation, or setbacks. Items with cracks, chips, or missing pieces may carry an energy of incompleteness, subtly influencing your mindset and emotional state. In Buddhist philosophy, brokenness is often associated with impermanence, one of the three fundamental marks of existence, anicca. Everything changes, nothing stays whole forever, and sometimes embracing imperfection can be a form of wisdom rather than a sign of misfortune. There's a beautiful Japanese practice called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, making the cracks a part of its history rather than something to hide. This philosophy teaches us that brokenness is not always a loss. It can also be a transformation. However, in the context of receiving a broken gift, the energy attached to it can feel stagnant or incomplete. Imagine receiving a chipped teacup from a loved one. Some may see this as a sign of neglect or misfortune, while others may see it as an opportunity to appreciate the history and the story behind the object. The way we perceive imperfections can define our emotional connection to the objects we own. As the Buddha taught, nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. Being is always becoming. While receiving a broken object might feel inauspicious, how we interpret and handle it can shape its meaning in our lives. In some cases, an object's flaws can remind us of resilience, adaptability, and personal growth. Consider how a tree continues to grow even after its branches are broken. It adapts and thrives despite its imperfections. If you receive a broken or damaged gift, consider politely declining it or requesting a replacement, especially if the item is meant to serve a functional purpose. However, if it holds sentimental value or if replacing it is not an option, you can perform a cleansing ritual such as a saltwater wash to remove any residual negative energy. This practice is common in many spiritual traditions as a way to refresh the energy of objects and remove stagnant influences. Another approach is to find a creative way to repurpose the item, turning the damage into a symbol of resilience and growth, just like kintsugi. Perhaps a cracked vase can be turned into a beautiful planter, or a broken piece of jewelry can be incorporated into a new design. These actions remind us that even in imperfection, there is beauty and purpose. By shifting our perspective, we can transform what appears to be flawed into something meaningful. The way we treat broken objects can mirror the way we approach challenges in life. Do we discard them as worthless, or do we embrace them as opportunities for transformation? The choice is ours. Learning to see beyond imperfections and appreciating the journey of an object, or even our own lives, can bring deeper wisdom and gratitude. Brokenness does not define us. It is merely a chapter in our story, one that we have the power to rewrite. 5. Religious or spiritual objects. Religious and spiritual objects, including statues, amulets, or artifacts, can carry the energy of their previous owners or the places they were kept. If they have been associated with negative events, sorrow, or suffering, that energy may persist. In Buddhist tradition, spiritual objects are believed to absorb the intentions and vibrations of those who interact with them. A statue that has been used in prayer may radiate peace, while an amulet worn during a time of struggle may carry lingering distress. The Buddha taught, "With our thoughts, we make the world." This means that objects can become vessels of the energies and emotions imprinted upon them. A Zen story tells of a monk who received a gifted Buddha statue from a traveling merchant. The monk noticed a heavy feeling in the air whenever he meditated near it. He took it to the temple's elder, who advised, "Cleanse it with fire, water, and words of kindness, and it will remember only love." The monk followed this guidance, burning incense around the statue, washing it in pure water, and chanting mantras over it. Over time, the energy of the statue felt lighter, reinforcing the idea that intention and mindfulness can transform any object's energy. To cleanse such objects, burn incense around them, expose them to sunlight, chant mantras or prayers near them, or place them near sacred texts or a meditation space to absorb positive spiritual vibrations. Another powerful method is placing them on an altar with offerings of fresh flowers, fruits, or candles to invite auspicious energy. Some Buddhist monks believe that reciting sutras near sacred objects enhances their spiritual purity, helping to realign them with their original purpose of protection and enlightenment. In many cultures, family heirlooms such as rosaries, talismans, or statues are passed down for generations. If these objects were cherished and used for prayers, they often retain an uplifting energy. However, if they were owned by someone who suffered great hardship or used them with a heavy heart, their vibrations may carry remnants of that sorrow. It is essential to recognize the emotional history attached to such objects and take the necessary steps to ensure they are aligned with positive energy before keeping them in your sacred space. By mindfully caring for religious or spiritual objects, we ensure that they become sources of peace and blessings rather than carriers of past burdens. If you ever inherit or receive such an object and sense an unsettling energy, do not discard it immediately. Instead, offer a sincere blessing or perform a ritual to cleanse and repurpose it into a symbol of love, faith, and spiritual renewal. The power of these objects lies not just in their physical form, but in the energy and reverence we imbue them with. 6th, watches symbolize the passage of time and can carry unintended meanings. In some cultures, gifting a watch is associated with farewells and endings, making it an inauspicious present. From a Buddhist perspective, time is an illusion, one of the greatest attachments humans struggle with. The Buddha once taught, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." A watch, in this sense, can be a constant reminder of time slipping away, making one anxious about the future, rather than embracing the now. There is a Zen parable about a monk who was gifted an expensive pocket watch by a wealthy disciple. The monk simply placed it on the floor, bowed, and said, "Let time take care of itself." The message here is that time exists beyond our control, and our greatest peace comes from accepting each moment as it is. By embracing time as a teacher rather than a thief, you can transform any watch into a symbol of awareness and gratitude rather than an omen of endings. If you receive a watch as a gift, rather than seeing it as a symbol of time running out, you can reframe its meaning and let it serve as a reminder to stay present, mindful, and appreciative of each moment life offers. 7. Cash, money, carries the energy of those who have handled it before. If someone gives you money during a time of distress, that negative energy may linger and affect you as well. From a Buddhist perspective, money itself is neither good nor bad. It is the intention behind its use that defines its impact. The Buddha once said, "True wealth is not in material possessions, but in the richness of the heart." If money is earned or given in a state of fear, desperation, or greed, it can carry that energetic imprint. A story often told in Buddhist circles is about a rich man who donated large sums to a monastery. However, he was always anxious that his wealth would disappear. A wise monk told him, "If you cling to wealth with fear, it will bring you suffering. But if you give with an open heart, your wealth will multiply beyond what you can imagine." This highlights the importance of viewing money as a tool for positive change rather than a source of stress. Many people believe that money should always flow, like water in a river, rather than being hoarded with anxiety. When we hold on to wealth too tightly, we create a stagnant energy that blocks prosperity rather than inviting it. If you receive money and feel uneasy about its origins, there are several ways to cleanse its energy. Placing it in sunlight for a short time is thought to clear lingering negativity. Sprinkling a small amount of salt over it, or storing it with a crystal known for absorbing energy, such as clear quartz or citrine, can also help reset its vibration. Another powerful way to neutralize any lingering energy is to donate a portion of it to charity or someone in need. This act of generosity transforms the energy of the money, ensuring that it is being used in a way that uplifts rather than burdens. Money is a tool, and like all tools, it is how we use it that defines its impact on our lives. If we cultivate gratitude and generosity in our financial habits, we will find that money becomes a source of freedom and opportunity rather than worry and attachment. The key is to see money not as something to be feared or clung to, but as a means to create goodness in the world. By practicing mindfulness and ensuring that money flows with positive intent, we can shape our financial experiences in a way that aligns with peace, prosperity, and well-being. 8. Antique or secondhand jewelry. Jewelry absorbs the emotions and experiences of previous owners. A ring, necklace, or bracelet may have been worn during times of sorrow or hardship, transferring that energy to the new wearer. In Buddhist philosophy, objects carry an energetic imprint from the people who have used them before. The Buddha once taught, "Attachment leads to suffering," reminding us that holding on to past energies, whether in objects or emotions, can influence our present state. There is an old Buddhist tale about a merchant who bought a ring at a marketplace, only to experience constant misfortune after wearing it. He sought guidance from a wise monk, who told him, "The ring is not cursed, but it carries the sorrow of its past owner. To wear it without cleansing is to invite their suffering into your life." The monk then instructed him to cleanse the ring by placing it under the moonlight and reciting a blessing, allowing it to be renewed with positive energy. If you inherit or purchase secondhand jewelry, consider cleansing it before wearing it. You can do this by exposing it to moonlight overnight, washing it in salt water, or using incense to purify its energy. Some Buddhist monks also recommend chanting mantras over the jewelry to realign its vibration with your own, ensuring that it becomes a source of strength rather than a carrier of past burdens. 9. Dolls or figurines. Some believe that dolls and figurines can absorb and retain energy, including spirits or residual emotions. There are even stories of haunted dolls that bring eerie experiences. In Buddhist thought, objects can hold the essence of past experiences, much like how a person carries karma from their past actions. A doll that has been loved and cherished may carry warmth and affection, but one that has witnessed sorrow or neglect might retain a lingering sadness. This is why many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of cleansing second-hand or gifted objects before bringing them into one's home. A famous Buddhist tale tells of a wooden statue that was once revered in a monastery. Over time, it absorbed the prayers, hopes, and even sorrows of countless devotees. When the temple was abandoned, the statue was moved to a private home, where its new owners began experiencing unexplained dreams and emotions. A wise monk was consulted, and he advised them to cleanse the statue with incense and chanting, allowing it to release the energies it had stored. After the cleansing, peace returned to the household. If you inherit or receive dolls or figurines, consider purifying them before placing them in your home. Burning incense, exposing them to sunlight, or even reciting positive affirmations over them can help reset their energy. Buddhist monks often recommend placing such objects near items of positive spiritual significance, like sacred texts or prayer beads, to realign their vibrations with peace and harmony. By doing so, You ensure that these figures remain symbols of warmth and joy rather than lingering remnants of the past. 10. Used clothing or shoes. Clothing and shoes carry the energy of their previous owners. If someone wore them during a difficult period, that energy could transfer to you. In Buddhist teachings, objects absorb the energy of those who have used them. This is why monks often avoid wearing second-hand robes unless they have been blessed or purified. The Buddha once taught, "We are shaped by our thoughts, we become what we think." Similarly, the energy carried in clothing can subtly influence our mood and well-being. There is a Zen story of a disciple who received an old robe from a senior monk. As soon as he wore it, he felt a deep sense of sorrow. His master explained, "This robe once belonged to a monk who struggled with great sadness. The fabric carries his emotions. Let us cleanse it, so it may carry only peace." After a ritual washing in sacred water, the disciple found that the heaviness had lifted, reinforcing the idea that objects carry energetic imprints. If you purchase or receive secondhand clothing, consider cleansing it before wearing it. Washing it with salt water, exposing it to sunlight, or even setting an intention while handling it can help clear any lingering energy. Many spiritual traditions suggest that mindful purification can transform an object, allowing it to carry only positivity and renewal. By doing so, you ensure that the clothing or shoes you wear support your well-being rather than unintentionally carrying the burdens of the past. 11th, handkerchiefs. In many cultures, handkerchiefs are associated with sorrow and tears. Gifting one may symbolize offering misfortune or grief. From a Buddhist perspective, physical objects can absorb emotions and energies, much like how a room retains the echoes of laughter or sorrow. Handkerchiefs, in particular, are used to wipe away tears, making them deeply connected to emotions. This is why some believe that gifting a handkerchief can symbolize passing on sadness rather than comfort. A Zen story tells of a monk who once received a beautiful silk handkerchief from a visitor. The monk smiled and said, "A gift carries the heart of the giver. If it carries sorrow, may we transform it into kindness." He then dipped the handkerchief into a bowl of sacred water, blessing it before using it to clean the temple altar. This act signified transforming sadness into devotion. In many spiritual traditions, it is believed that objects used for personal emotions should be cleansed before being passed on. If you receive a handkerchief as a gift, consider purifying it by washing it in salt water, exposing it to sunlight, or using it in an act of kindness to shift its energy from grief to positivity. 12. Plants with thorns. Plants like cacti or roses symbolize challenges and obstacles. While they are beautiful, their thorns can metaphorically represent difficulties in relationships or personal struggles. In Buddhist philosophy, the presence of thorns in nature teaches a valuable lesson about duality. Beauty and pain, joy and suffering coexist in life. The Buddha once shared, "Just as the lotus rises from the mud, so too can wisdom arise from suffering." Similarly, thorny plants remind us that growth often comes with challenges, and embracing life's difficulties with mindfulness can lead to deeper wisdom. A Zen story tells of a student who asked his master why life had to be filled with obstacles. The master pointed to a rose bush and said, "Would you admire the rose as much if there were no thorns?" It is the contrast that gives it meaning. This story reflects how we can learn to appreciate life's hardships as stepping stones to resilience. While thorny plants can be a beautiful addition to a home or garden, their placement should be mindful. Feng Shui principles suggest keeping them outside or near a window rather than in spaces associated with rest and harmony. If you receive a thorny plant as a gift, consider setting an intention as you place it, using it as a reminder that even struggles can lead to personal growth. 13. Empty bottles or jars. An empty jar or bottle represents lack and stagnation. Keeping them around could unintentionally invite scarcity. In Buddhist teachings, emptiness, sunyata, is a central concept, but it is not about lack. It is about potential. The Buddha taught form is emptiness, emptiness is form, meaning that emptiness holds the potential for transformation. Similarly, an empty bottle can either represent a void or an opportunity, depending on how we choose to see it. A Zen parable tells of a master who gave his student an empty bowl and asked, "Is this bowl useless because it is empty?" The student pondered and replied, "No, Master, it is useful because it can be filled." The Master smiled and said, "Exactly. See emptiness as space for possibility, not as loss." This lesson reminds us that an empty bottle is only negative if we see it that way. Instead of allowing it to symbolize lack, one can repurpose it to invite abundance. In many traditions, people fill empty jars with rice, coins, or water, symbols of nourishment, wealth, and flow, to shift its energy from emptiness to prosperity. If you receive an empty bottle or jar as a gift, consider what you can place inside it to transform its meaning. In doing so, you take control over its energy, turning perceived emptiness into endless possibility. 14. Taxidermy or animal skulls. Taxidermy and animal remains may carry energies of stagnation, decay, and death. Displaying them in a home can create a heavy atmosphere. From a Buddhist perspective, all life is interconnected, and every being carries a form of energy. The Buddha once said, "All things arise and pass away, but those who awaken see beyond birth and death." This teaching reminds us that objects associated with death can hold lingering energies of the past, which may subtly influence the environment they are placed in. A Zen master once visited a wealthy man's home and noticed a mounted deer head on the wall. The master gently asked, "Does this remind you of life or death?" The man hesitated before replying, "It reminds me that beauty fades and life is fleeting." The master nodded and said, "Then let it teach you impermanence, but do not let it weigh on your spirit." The conversation highlights that while such objects may serve as a reminder of life's transience, they should be placed mindfully to avoid creating an atmosphere of stagnation or sorrow. If you inherit or receive taxidermy or animal skulls, consider their placement carefully. Rather than keeping them in spaces meant for relaxation or spiritual reflection, you might place them in an area where they can serve as a respectful reminder of the impermanence of life, much like traditional Buddhist bone relics. If you feel their energy is too heavy, performing a cleansing ritual with incense, sunlight, or mindful intention can help neutralize any lingering stagnation, allowing you to appreciate the object for its artistry without carrying its past burdens. 15. Artificial flowers. While artificial flowers can be visually appealing, they lack the vitality of real plants and are sometimes associated with lifelessness or mourning. In Buddhist philosophy, nature is seen as a teacher of impermanence and renewal. Real flowers bloom, wither, and decay, reminding us of the fleeting nature of life. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." Living plants embody this wisdom as they change with the seasons and require care and attention to thrive. Artificial flowers, in contrast, remain static, lacking the energy of growth and renewal. A Zen monk once received an offering of silk flowers from a devotee who admired their eternal beauty. The monk smiled and said, "A flower that does not fade teaches nothing about life. True beauty is in its fleeting bloom." This simple yet profound teaching reminds us that appreciation of life's impermanence is key to understanding its depth. If you wish to balance the presence of artificial flowers in your space, consider pairing them with fresh flowers or living plants to introduce warmth and natural energy. Place them mindfully, avoiding sacred spaces where vibrant living energy is preferred. Use them as symbolic reminders of change by replacing them periodically or dedicating them as offerings of gratitude. By blending artificial elements with natural ones, you can create a harmonious environment that respects both tradition and modern aesthetics, while ensuring that your space remains filled with life and energy. The gifts we receive hold more than just physical value. They carry symbolic and energetic meanings that can influence our lives. While some of these beliefs are rooted in tradition and cultural superstition, the psychological impact of receiving certain items cannot be ignored. By being mindful of the energy in our surroundings and taking simple steps to cleanse and transform it, we can ensure that every gift we receive brings positivity and prosperity into our lives. Have you ever received a gift that felt unlucky? Share your experiences in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on energy, spirituality, and mindfulness.